longer than that, but how has it been for you and coming into these competitions in the last little while?
Well, I mean, this is where we want to be. We want to be playing the best, and certainly our opponents in white today are pretty darn good basketball team, among the best in the world, and that's where we hope to be someday. And we have to get these experiences in order to find the pathway to get better. It's been a long journey in a short amount of time. We found out a year ago, February, that we were eligible to play. And we had to find the funding. Thank goodness for Sedella Marley and the Bob and Rita Marley Foundation that got behind us right away, that allowed us to create a training camp in Boca Raton. Norman Powell for stepping in and giving us a legitimacy in that first pre-qualifying tournament in Mexico. And Bahamas, Canada, and Puerto Rico, which is everything we signed up for. That's why we're here. We deserve to play with the best teams in the world, and maybe this window didn't really show that, but I think the future looks pretty bright, right?
The impact of Norm Powell, we know him very well here.
Yeah.
If you could sort of walk us through his involvement and what he's meant to the young players and the program.
Yeah, I don't know that you guys want to be here all night listening to me talk about Norm and the impact that he's had. He obviously, you guys know, he's an NBA champion. He's an NBA All-Star. He is a great basketball player. There's no doubt about that. But what you don't see is what he's contributed off the floor in his leadership and mentoring and just showing up, just being there for us, I mentioned it, legitimacy. When people hear, when basketball players hear that a guy like Norman Powell wants to be a part of your program, their ears perk up a little bit, and they think that something positive is going on. So I mean, that scratches the surface of what he brings. There's so much more, but he's been a great part of it, and he was with us in Bahamas, and even though didn't participate in this window, he was still a big part of what we were doing. Yeah.
Coach, back here.
Yes.
You talked about Norm. There's been other NBA players that have expressed interest in potentially playing for Jamaica. Do you know where those conversations have been in terms of like Scotty Barnes, the Thompson twins, and what's your thoughts on like NBA guys being interested? You mentioned Norm and like that wave of talent.
Oh, such a complicated question. I mean, it really is. It's difficult for me. I don't want to name guys like you did, but those guys, they're out there. I could list off probably 12 off the top of my head quickly here that are impact NBA players that have expressed an interest to be a part of this. The FIBA rules just don't really allow it. So until something there changes, which I don't anticipate, then we got to get to work and build a pipeline of young players like Basketball Canada did. I'll tell you, when I had been pursuing this position with Jamaica basketball since 2008, right? I finally broke them down in 2019. They gave in, right? And at that point, I was like the dog who caught the car. Like, now what do we do? So one of those things is building that pipeline. And that part of it is a really difficult process. And we thought that having a competitive senior team while trying to build that pipeline simultaneously was the best path for us, because kids need to see something. They need to look up to somebody. They need to look up to guys like Norman Powell and and others, whether they're currently in the NBA or whether they grew up in their neighborhood, or whatever the circumstances are. Kids in Jamaica, kids in Toronto, kids in Miami of Jamaican descent, kids in New York of Jamaican descent, kids all over the world, kids in Arizona of Jamaican descent. They need to see something. So that's kind of part of what I hope we built over the course of the last year, is something for kids to point toward and look toward. Literally and honestly, I want to answer questions for you guys. I could do it for hours, but this dude is just graduated from high school. He's playing against the best players of the world, and he showed out tonight. So I want you to ask him some questions. He deserves a little shine tonight.
What do you think of yourself as kind of the leader of this wave of players? How does it feel? And is there a great responsibility, I think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really a blessing, just to be able to be here with these guys and get this opportunity to play on this level. But yeah, there's definitely some responsibility, like being a role model for the youth in Jamaica. But I feel like it's really like a team effort, like a whole country, like just giving us support and being there for us during these games and stuff. It's just an effort from everybody.
What can't you appreciate about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander until you step on the floor with him and try to connect with him?
I'll probably say how strong he is. Like, he hit me with a bump. I didn't think he would be that strong, but I mean, it was great playing against him. Though I learned a lot. It was a great experience playing at the MVP. It's just really a blessing to be able to be on the court with some of these guys and learn a lot and prepare for the next season and more windows and games to come.
Kind of curious, we just talked about Norman Powell, but like how quickly all of this has come together, the program in the last year. How has that process been for you to kind of learn and adjust on the fly and get to the point where you are at this point in your career?
Yeah, it's definitely been amazing. These guys definitely taught me a lot. Every time we have training camp and every time we in practice, it's just they always pulling me to the side and teaching me things. And they definitely make me learn things quickly. Like, they don't let me just they don't treat me like a kid. Like, they treat me like I'm one of them. So it's just really been a great experience. Like, all in all, like this past year playing 4 windows with these guys and playing since I was 14, I never really thought I would be on this stage, like on the men's team, especially so young. So it's really been amazing.
And Marcus, Drew Ebanks, On Point Basketball again. Obviously, tough competition, as Coach said. Where the group you guys are in. Where do you see Jamaica basketball in the next few years? Obviously, you're going to be a major part of that, but how many more strides do you think this program can make?
I honestly think we could be at the top. Like, I feel like we could be a top 10 team in the world. We just get the youth on board and just keep working. I feel like we're gonna be up there with all the other guys that's at the top right now. I feel like we deserve to be there, and we fight. So I feel like that's where we're gonna be.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right. Photo? Yep.
think we started out great with a lot of energy and physicality and setting the tone. We had a hard time controlling the rebounds, so that's something to work on and look at. But our transition was great. We picked it up in the second half, and we ended up closing out and getting everybody to play. So I feel like it's a win-win. And being 6-0 in the windows is a great feeling going into the second last. Is the second last windows or third last?
You got 3 more.
3 more, so third last.
You have 3 more. Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank the crowd. Great to play in Canada. I think, we don't get a chance to play in Canada enough. I thought we had a really good 6 or 7 days with our team. The players did an outstanding job. The whole organization was very positive. This game, I thought, we started really well, we played well. It's something we've stressed from day one. 40-minute games, starting FIBA games better. We got in a little bit of a game we don't like to get into in the second quarter, so to speak. But I thought the guys did a great job coming out in the third and picking it up and finishing it off in the third.
All right, we'll pass the mic around. If you have a question, put your hand up, but we'll start in the back.
Hey, Dylan. It's been a week now with you as the co-captain with Shea. How do you lead? How does he lead? And how does that kind of mesh together as the co-captaincy?
I think it meshes well. I'm the fiery, passion, maybe outspoken leader, and he's a more cool, calm, and collected. So we can relate to different players on the team and give our input. And I feel like most of the players will attentively listen and be ready to play hard for Canada. That's all we stress and ask for.
Dylan, right here. Obviously you've had an opportunity to play with Kelly and Dwight in the front court for a very long time for Team Canada, but this is a new look front court for you guys between Leonard Miller and Mfando. Like, how do you think they've adjusted to the last week of getting an opportunity to run with you guys?
I think they played, really well. With Coach, I think you could just plug and play anybody. If it's front court, if it's back court, it doesn't matter. The plays and formations or whatever you want to call it are there. It makes it a little bit easier playing with guys like me and Shea and Nikhil and Andrew. So I feel like they played well. They held their own, and those guys are professionals too. We expect them to bring their hard hat and ready to play.
Gordy, just back here, Dana McKeel. Any coaching philosophies that you brought over from to this window from your days when you were playing under Jack Donahue?
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask how long was that?
I could dunk back then. What I really liked about Coach Donahue was the things we did off the floor in the classroom, the things about life. And also he made it enjoyable for us to play. And, those are the things I really try to bring to a national team program. So it's,
2 questions, one for each of you right here. Dylan, question for you just about your mid-range post-game. Tell me about the evolution of it. How do you feel like it fits FIBA style and maybe helps you guys get different looks? And then Gordy, for you, question in terms of the younger guys on the roster. How do you feel like they've come along? Keyshawn George, Leonard Miller, sort of fit your style?
you want me to answer the first one?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
I feel like it's a shot that I worked on a lot for the past 2 years. It's a shot that I love to take. And it's just, you know, with the shot clock going down, it's kind of like I wouldn't call it a bailout shot, but it's a, you know, a shot that I can get to, keeps the defense, you know, on their toes, and if you rep it enough, you know, it can be a good shot. But, you know, getting into the paint, you know, mixing in middies and mixing in, you know, feeding, you know, the bigs or spraying it out for threes is another thing that I'm working on as well, you know, to complete my whole game. But overall, like, I don't think I feel like I can miss a mid-range, to be honest with you.
No, Dylan's probably our best low-post player, and I think it's important we have a inside game in FIBA. We played him mostly at the 3 right now, where he can post up, and so we feel very comfortable getting him the ball in there, and it's something we can even do more. What was your second question? The young guys?
The young guys.
They've been great. I mean, I think you know, like Shea and Dylan and Nikhil have set a great example in camp, how we do things, and they've been able to see that and follow. They've been, you know, they're young kids, haven't played much FIBA, even though Gashan grew up in Switzerland playing FIBA, but great future.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet. For either of you, but Dylan, I mean, you had 3 steals tonight. I think Shea had 4, team had 15. How much of that was a focus on just getting into the opposition and is forcing turnovers high up the court? Is that something you guys are hoping to keep going?
Yeah. I feel like, you know, getting turnovers and being in transition is one of the highest percentage, you know, shots or possessions or points that you can get. So I don't think it's stressed. I think it's, you know, just being up there, you know, pressuring full court regardless of who you are, and, you know, trying to make plays on a defensive end. You know, I think that's what is stressed, and I feel like, you know, we're doing a good job of it each window.
Anytime we can force live ball turnovers, best time to run. And I thought the guys did a really good job there in the third quarter, picking up our defense and impacting the game on the defensive end. Our game became much simpler.
A question for both of you, both about Andrew Nembhard. Coach, take us through the decision-making process in terms of naming Andrew as a starter, promoting him to that level, and sort of the results you've seen so far in the first 2 games here, and then with Dylan, just the experience of playing with Andrew, because I think he's been ultra efficient, 9 of 11 in the first game and 8 of 12 in this game.
Yeah, you know, this is the time we could experiment a little bit. We've tried to play Shea at the 2 a little bit more off the ball. Andrew at the 1, we kind of moved Dylan from the 4 to the 3 in FIBA. It gives us a bigger, more physical presence. And, you know, so far it's been good. And Andrew's done a great job leading the game. And he also gives us that defensive stopper there. You know, he's a two-way player.
Yeah, playing with him last year or 2 years ago, he's a special player. Very composed, plays at his own pace, underrated scorer, great passer, and like Coach said, he's another defensive stopper. So I love playing, you know, with him, and you know, he brings that sense of that urgency and, you know, that physical presence on that point guard spot, you know, that we need, especially in this FIBA game, because there's a whole bunch of fast, quick guards that, you know, we're going to have to go against.
Dylan, for the last few days we've been talking about Shea having his homecoming. I didn't realize you also had a homecoming here. Before the game, Joe Razzo showed me a picture of you as a kid playing Blessed Sacrament. How did you end up playing in Hamilton as a kid?
Well, first I played, this is all OBA, so I played Oakville Vetus, and then the next year after that, I did like a transfer or something like that and played for Blessed Sacrament. I used to travel from Oakville to Hamilton to practice, and that was like one of my stories growing up. Was it was like a blizzard, and we had practice in Hamilton. my mom's driving me to the game, and the whole time I'm whining, and I'm like, why do we have to go? There's no one going to be there. And my mom just looked at me and said, you know, we're going to go and do this, or we're not going to do it at all. And I was like, all right, we're going to do it. And then there was only like 3 people at practice. So it, you know, it created something where, you know, that was like one of the stepping stones for my basketball career, and we ended up winning the OBA championship. So 12. Yeah. Yeah, we're really good. Playing shifts and all that, and it was a different type of basketball for sure.
Coach, Miles Dichter, CBC. Just what surprised you maybe about this first window working with the team, and how do you see the identity kind of forming?
Just what a great group of guys they were. You know, we really don't know each other yet, and we have a process to develop relationships, which I think is really important in FIBA. And yeah, I mean, guys were engaged every minute and practiced, very professional. So it's been a great experience, and obviously an honor to coach our national team, and we're going to get better and better.
All right, how you guys doing? Dylan, good to see you, Coach. Great job. Just want to talk about the growth. I mean, when you look in this building, we've been here covering Canada for, you know, 2 decades or more, and to see where we've come from, where you couldn't get maybe 2,000 in the stands to come and watch Team Canada play, to now when it's a full house. Talk about what that means for you guys. Obviously, there's social media, but I think the people out there that I see, they really love you guys, and they're calling your names. I mean, how does that feel for you, Dylan?
It's an amazing feeling. You know, you don't get to play in your home country, especially, you know, putting on the, you know, red and white. So it's a privilege to, you know, play in front of these amazing fans. And they were loud, they were amazing. They were doing the, what is it called? Wave, yeah. It's just an amazing feeling. And to be with all the guys and to get to feel that feeling, and, you know, I guess let it shrill into, you know, the cycle that we're going to be on to, you know, get to the World Cup and the Olympics and ultimately gold, is an amazing feeling.
One for Dylan and one for Coach. Dylan, for you, compared to NBA play, is there anything about FIBA basketball that you enjoy more?
I like that the line is closer. What I don't like is there's 5 fouls. But I always enjoy FIBA. I feel like it was like the beginning of my, I guess, professional, or like going against, like actually getting better at the game, like getting looks from Oregon, and then, you know, able to play for the national team and playing against older guys when I'm in college, and then ultimately being in the World Cup, making history and stuff like that. So I love it. I love playing FIBA.
Just a quick follow-up to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've embraced the villain role.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that against players that you might not know or never played against before in international competition?
I don't want to sound cocky, but they know me. So I'm always ready to play regardless of who's on the floor. It could be anybody. You know, it can be my boys. It can be Team Jamaica. It can be Oklahoma City. It doesn't matter who it is. So at least I'm not getting booed out here.
Quick one for Coach. For the next games in August, what is your decision-making process, and just your thought process on who you make available for those games?
Yeah, we had about 5 or 6 guys that were not available because of contracts or injuries. So we'll kind of have to see who's available. But that next window is really important for us. It gives us another chance to be with our best players and really develop some cohesiveness and chemistry.
Question for Dylan. Just to expand on the growth of the sport here in Canada. You look at the turnouts over the last few days. You look at leagues like the USBL and Toronto Tempo with the WNBA. What stood out the most to you about the growth here in Canada, and what's the next step you want to see this team?
I love the Toronto Tempo. They're such a great team. But overall, just having that CBL, having the Toronto Tempo, obviously the Raptors and us, Team Canada, it just shows you how much, basketball is recognized here. And, being a young guy early on watching like Javon Shepard and Denham Brown, those legends right there, kind of motivated me. So me being in this position now, I want to motivate, the next generation and be more hands-on with it. Like while I'm working out, wherever I work out at, there's younger guys there, and I always want to join their workout, pick their brain, let them pick my brain, teach them things, because I want them to be successful just like me. And, I never got that part when I was growing up. I had to figure it out on my own, but having a guy that's been there, done it, and has excelled at it, I think, us as a senior national men's team, giving back to the U17 team, U18 team, is a big thing on why we're growing at the rate that we're growing at.
Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Let me get a photo with you.
With me?